Good evening, good night. Winter draws on, or that was a bit of a personal question, really, wasn't it? A chap called Brian has asked me a question which I think deserves a full answer. He wants to know if I taught myself to play the guitar. Let me make it clear. My guitarist skills, are only just about good enough to make sure that work that I've done on a guitar worked. I always have enjoyed tinkering with things. I like taking things apart and sometimes putting them back together and then seeing if they work. And then very often it's true to say that once they work I lose interest in them. So I did want to learn to play the guitar. In a moment I'll show you a chap who inspired me to want to play the guitar. He made it such joy, great fun. It doesn't have to be great fun, it can be relaxing, it's a lovely thing to do. So I sort of taught myself. I don't recommend that. I very much recommend that you should sit down with somebody else that can play the guitar. You should go to a tutor, and you need a certain amount of discipline. Now, if you get yourself one of the books, it will teach you various little things. It will teach you the basic chords. I wonder if this is still in tune. That's already off, isn't it? This is the trouble with restringing a guitar. That's a bit better. Right, it will teach you some basic chords, and it will very often start you off with, a G chord, and there will be diagrams of what you do with different fingers, and you will get the book out and you will sit there and you'll say, right, index finger goes on that string there, and if you're really good you might learn the names of these strings. I have to look them up. Oh, well, that's an A string. That's an A string, I know that, I've got it written down. And you put that one there, and then somehow you get this finger and you force it to go on that string there. This is really good, and it hurts, and there'll be a page of pictures of what you do with your thumb and how you, and then you'll go okay then. Well, what you can do, and this is something that a friend showed me, is them two fingers go thuswards, and this finger goes there. And that gives you a G chord, G major. But the book told you to do it with that one, and that one, and that one, and that works. That works. So read the book, look at the chord diagrams, and then realise that people who worked with circular saws all their life and haven't got that finger, they had to improvise. If you watch the really clever people, you'll find people who put their thumb over Shock horror. Not supposed to do that. It works. Yeah, that is a good technique. Then you will come across chords like the A chord. Right, them three fingers go on those three strings. And on this guitar, they fit. On this guitar, ooh, haha, it's a narrower neck. I can do it now. What I discovered early on was if you buy a cheap guitar from a cheap guitar shop or cash converters, and if you try to hold an A chord on that cheap guitar, you can't do it, because you need to adjust the action so that chaps with fingers like mine can hold an A chord. You won't find that written in a book, but you will find it spoken about by a teacher. Incidentally, the chap who told me how to do an A chord, I work with, and it's quite a good story really. We were somewhere very, very public, and he's a lovely guy. We were standing where there was a lot of people watching us, and I said, I'm having trouble with the A chord. And he said, oh, lots of people have trouble with the A chord. And the pair of us are standing there playing air guitar in public, grown men, and he's saying, right, what you can do, you can instead of holding those three like that, what you could do is you could hold them like that. People with fat fingers sometimes find that easier. Well, sometimes they don't. But he and I were standing there in public with lots of people looking at us as we're going. And, you know, people gave us a wide berth. It is great fun. It's a learning process. If I never learn to play properly, you know, it's not a new career for me. It's not going to save the economy of South Essex. It's fun and thoroughly enjoyable. Right, let's bash this one for a bit. What do you want to hear? The book will teach you this chord, and then it will tell you, right, having found out how to hold a G chord, it will give you half an hour's exercise. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, for half an hour. And if you're really lucky, then it will show you a D chord. That's a D chord. Can you see that? And it will give you another half an hour. Oh, with a D chord, you don't start on the top string or the second string, you start on D string. And the book will tell you all about the fancy phrases, the parent chord, the parent string, and all sorts of stuff that you're supposed to learn. Now, as a passing mention, if you wander about YouTube, you will find guitarists from the 1920s with broken guitars, with guitars that have got holes in, and some of them are, I've got to think of a polite way of putting this, illiterate, morons, that's unkind. They are absolutely not capable of reading the book that says that's the chord. Listen to them, because they play the guitar like you would never believe, some of them. And it's just a wonderful thing to watch. So that's a D chord. Yes, it will teach you the D chord. And then it will teach you the quick change. And that is when you start discovering that instead of holding things like the G chord the way the book shows you, with pinky on that string and that finger there and this finger there, you'll find that it's easier if you do it that way, because then you can change from one chord to another a lot easier. So G, E flat, G, E major, E flat, E minor, yeah, E minor. It's been a long day. E minor, C, A minor, and you learn how to go from one chord shape to another. Give it a go, enjoy, make a lot of noise, practice, 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 practice. The first thing you're going to learn is, after a week your fingers are going to hurt. After 3 weeks the tips of your fingers start to go very much like corns, and then the tips of your fingers come off. And you learn that if you're going to be serious about this, you bite these fingernails right down till they almost bleed, and you let these fingernails grow long for all this clever stuff that, yeah. Why do you keep these fingernails very, very short? Because when you fret a string, you want the finger, the bit of the finger, to be vertical or perpendicular to the fretboard. And if you don't keep your fingernails very, very short, the fingernail will push your finger that way, it will rotate your finger, and you'll end up touching 2 strings, which will give you some very funny noises. So you keep the fingernails on this hand as short as is humanly possible, and you let the fingernails on this hand grow a bit, and these fingers become very, very hard and, yeah, quite, yeah, you can break windows with these fingers. But enjoy it, enjoy. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to take you and show you a little bit of a chap that taught me some wonderful, wonderful things. He is such a joyful guitarist, he makes the whole thing a pleasure. So I'm going to show you a chap called Cliff. He showed me some clever, clever stuff, and I'm afraid I didn't learn it very well. So let me show you a man who's much better than I am. Now, in the way of these things, I'm going to have to cheat and film my computer. Well, there we go. Here we have Cliff battering his guitar.
Down the street the dogs are barking and the day's getting dark. When the night begins to fall, then the dogs will lose their bark. And the silent night will shatter from the sound inside your mind. I'm just one too many mornings and 1,000 miles behind.
Now, Cliff made the whole thing fun, and it is great fun, and the best way to learn the guitar is by having fun with it. So there we are, let's let Cliff play us out.
I gaze back in the street, the sidewalk and the sign. I'm just one too many mornings and 1,000